What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and as our last Dragon Plus related update, we have Strixhaven, a Curriculum of Chaos, a new updated article providing us more information about this. Now, first thing I want to come out and say is, one, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I do cover news and other things, as well as make, seemingly in some cases, 4 to 6 videos, sometimes even 9 videos a day if the news warrants it. But I also do regular content outside of just news coverage. And secondly, I've seen a lot of weird, I don't know if hate is the right word, but contention maybe about Strixhaven because D&D's not going to college and college Harry Potter stuff isn't D&D. Who hurt you, internet? I mean, D&D is whatever the hell you want it to be. That, like, I get it. D&D is traditionally going out and adventuring and questing and fighting monsters. But if you read what they tell you about Strixhaven, yeah, that is a thing. You go out and you fight monsters. It's a thing that you do as part of your college curriculum in this case. But here's the other thing. Don't buy it. You don't like it, don't buy it. Don't pick it up. There you go. The only thing you'll be missing out on is some magic items and the Owlin folk race, right? The Owlin race. And if you really want, you can probably find a way to get, like D&D Beyond, you can go and download just that race and then not have to support the book. Just get the race and move on. But seriously, just why is there an issue here? Just let it go. I think it's actually kind of cool. There's a lot of folks that really enjoy the concept of the magic school. And I want to point out, too, that for everybody who's like, you're a kid, it's dumb. No, you're thinking about Harry Potter, which people have made analogies to, that this is a magic school. You are, I don't think you're technically sorted. You gain access to one of the 5 colleges. And then they're similar to a sorting ceremony. But it's just that, a college. You are college-age adventurers or people entering into this, or maybe even older. I don't know how it works, right? Maybe you can audit classes as a 60-year-old. Who knows how this works? I don't. I'm not a Magic fan in this instance, and I don't know about Strixhaven. So, but yeah, you are fundamentally college-age students, so you are in your upper teens to early 20s when you enter into this. So it's not like you're going to magic school here at age 11 and then trying to deal with this, and you have to play as a kid. Again, I'll say, you don't have to play it at all. Just relax, guys. It's not that big of a deal. You got Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and you got Fizzbands coming out later this year. If Strixhaven isn't your cup of tea, let it go. They're ramping up the release schedule. We had 5 books this year. We're probably going to get at least 5 next year. Something's coming for you. Just take a break. All right. That's my piece. I'm done with it. We're moving on. Okay, so they sat down with Amanda Heyman, who's the project lead, to talk about Strixhaven. So let's see what we got. It's drawn from Magic the Gathering. It's a standalone setting, and almost all of its adventure takes place on the campus, but we wanted it so that you can easily drop it into any campaign, which I personally do appreciate, right? Whether or not I want to play in Strixhaven as it is written, I can, but if I want to add a magic college or a mage school or a monastery or whatever you want it to be to your world, you can just drop this in there and then you have it, and this is just ready to go in the background in case you need it. It says, we are very careful to avoid any indications that Strixhaven exists in the Forgotten Realms or any other established D&D world. Dungeon Masters can put it wherever they want, which I do appreciate, because then I don't have to fundamentally do that mental arithmetic to make it adjust to not fit, wherever it's set up. So it says it's both a source book and an adventure, similar to Mythic Odysseys of Theros and Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, except we're ramping up the adventure part. So in the past, we'd gotten, again, with Ravnica and Theros, more a source book with a tiny snippet like level 1 to 4 adventure at the end. This is a source book, but also an adventure, right? As the key difference is that we've included more adventure in this book. It includes 4 chapters for adventure content, nearly 2/3 of the book, and these adventures are set exclusively on the campuses of Strixhaven. This book also includes a gazetteer chapter detailing the way the university functions, as well as information on the 5 different colleges. There's a chapter of new rules to help you make your characters students who are tied to each of the schools of magic. Finally, there's a bestiary full of creatures that you'll encounter on and around campus, as well as several stat blocks for the professors and colleges, from the colleges and even your fellow students. Each of the colleges bears the name of the elder dragon who founded it, with every college striving to match its founder's vision and magical aptitudes. There's the Lorehold College, which is all about scholarly lore and history and things like that. There's the Prismari College, which is all about sort of performance and art. There's the Quandrix College, which is, I believe, all about time, magic, and puzzles and things. The Silver Quill College, which is all about writing and the written word and wit and things like that. And the Witherbloom College, which is all about sort of nature and zombie and witchy kindness. That's my very high-level interpretation based on what I've heard, but again, I'm not in the magic scene, so people might be able to explain it better than I did. The types of magic practiced within those colleges are specific, so it'll be recognizable as to what college a student is from, but there won't be personality traits tied to specific colleges. If you're a student at Prismari, you don't need to be brash and spur of the moment. We want players to be able to develop their own personalities for their characters, which I do appreciate, right? If you want to go to the College of Performance, they're not saying you need to be an outspoken, theater person, here I am. You could be an introvert if you want, or you could be a completely extroverted, witchy style person from Witherbloom, right? It's whatever you want it to be. There's also pretty strict rules on what is and isn't allowed at Strixhaven. For example, Witherbloom College might be associated with plant growth/druidic themes and have some necromancy thrown in, but no magic that's considered inherently evil is taught at the college. Doesn't necessarily mean it won't happen, as we've seen with dark arts and things like that, but that informs the adventure because the main villain might be someone who has expelled years ago. Well, there you go, right? We've included several new magic items. These are specific to Strixhaven and appear in the adventures organically. In most cases, they are items that the characters can earn or that employees give them as a reward for completing a task. Here, look, these are college students here, but they are adventuring, as you can see here, right? The four adventurers within Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos, adventures are structured in an innovative way. Each chapter is a standalone adventure based on a whole year of college life. You can create a character who's a first-year student and play through the entire campaign, with the four adventures all linked together, or you can make a second-year or third-year student, for example, and play through the adventure for that particular year. We also make sure the adventures provide a breadth of experiences. Of course, we lean into the young adult tropes associated with being at school. There's a pitch-perfect sing-off, and at one point has a D&D twist. There's a lot of traditional D&D content as well. You're still fighting monsters, overcoming obstacles, and solving mysteries, but in a different environment. That's the point I wanted to make. It is still D&D. It's just a slightly different setting than you might be used to. For example, one campus adventure is essentially a dungeon crawl that's been mapped to this world. It'll hopefully make for a fun change for both players and DM. So there's still even a dungeon crawl in this. Each year is structured into academic terms, including encounters that give you a feel of being a student on campus and exams to test your knowledge. For those who want to lean into this aspect of student life, we provide rules that allow you to study for and take exams with your fellow adventurers. If you do well in an exam, you'll gain extra exam dice to add to your rolls during your adventure. Cool. It's a simple rule system. Has passing your exam given you a boost, then roll a d6 and add it to the skill check you're making. It's a nice little reward that adds flavor if you decide to bring that element to the game. Nice and simple, like a bardic inspiration. You take your exams, you do well, you get a d6. Pretty simple. Extracurricular activities, right? To further help players lean into campus life, we provide extracurriculars, as you would have in a college campus. The extracurricular rules allow a character to join up to 2 clubs or hold down a job and be a member of 1 club. Realistically, that's probably the most you could do in most colleges and still be able to function and still stay there and, study. You might be a member of a Mage Tower team, which is one of the main campus sports. There's also a cheer squad for Mage Tower if you're more into, cheer and pep. Other clubs include Iron Lifter Society for gym rats, a show band association for the band kids, and the Play Actors Guild for the drama kids. Makes sense? Our new relationship subsystem provides backstories and personalities for 18 of your fellow students and helps make the adventure very player focused. Depending on how robustly they want to use the system, DMs can run an introductory session 0 to introduce these NPCs to the player characters, or they can allow them to be introduced organically. It heavily incorporates these NPCs down to the players encountering certain individuals who are part of the same club or work at the same job. Players can access an NPC student profile to discover which college and year they're in, their species, gender, pronouns, etc. They can then interact with these NPCs in specific social encounters which happen as a part of a group event. What the players need to decide is how they want to participate. Do they want to observe? Is there someone they're interested in watching with this event with, and will they like to interact with them? Will this be more of a positive interaction or a rivalry, right? You could develop a rivalry with one of these NPCs. which could be very interesting. Or again, you could try to take it, befriend them, or maybe even pursue them romantically. Again, assuming this is something you're interested in doing. Another part of our relationship subsystem allows for deeper connection. One or more characters can be your, quote, beloved, which might be your best friend, a sibling, or a romantic relationship. Those deeper connections also provide a special benefit, too. There are even optional rules in the system for a rival eventually becoming your beloved, which we hope provides that's a very common trope right there. Your rival all the time, and then they become your boyfriend or girlfriend, or your best friend, or whatever the case may be. When we ask for a playtest feedback on D&D Adventures, the responses often include statements such as, this monster needs to be harder to defeat, or we didn't know how to access that area. The feedback on Strixhaven was that everybody loved Greta Thighbiter, the super friendly iron-lifting dwarf with a gap in her teeth, and everybody in the party fought over getting her to like them the most. When that's happening, our job is done. So there you go, folks. There's a lot of rules that you can lean into or not. And I think that that's important, and I recognize that the D&D team seems to recognize that. Do you want to lean heavily into college life and get your extracurricular activities and get a job on campus and have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a partner or a best friend or a rival or an enemy or whatever the case may be as you're part of this, right? As someone who's gone through college and with some aspect of all of that, right? Holding down a job, holding down 2 jobs, being in a club and having an on-campus job, having a partner while doing all these things, like all of these things happening at the same time is a lot. Also, still while trying to maintain your studies and be able to continue to go to college without dropping out because you flunked yourself out. I've been through all the ups and downs of that myself, and yeah, it's a lot. But it would be that much more epic if I was able to slay monsters and had magical powers while I did it. Which, I mean, I guess I did play some D&D in college, so, like, I guess it kind of fits that. But you get my point. So I think this is really cool. I like to see this. I love to see how these rules are fully used. Because, again, what you have to think about is while this may not be the specific campaign for you, you might be able to look at these rules that they have developed for the colleges and the feats to give you different abilities and things like that. And you might be able to tweak and alter those and reskin them and use them in your homebrew world or your own campaign to fit something you've been trying to do, but you didn't know how you wanted to do it. Reskin it and use it that way. Maybe it'll allow you to inform decisions you want to do for your own game. There's something to be gained here. And at the very least, there's a new race and new magic items, so you can always use that. But again, there are the new feats, and this reminds me a lot of the guild system from Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, which had a lot of cool options that if you join the guild, you got certain benefits. And again, if you're not living and playing in the world of Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, it probably means nothing to you, but there's no reason you couldn't import that guild system, maybe change the names and change the way things worked and use it in your own game. Same thing with the way these sort of magic schools work. Maybe you do have a magic school in your homebrew world on some faraway island or continent that, you know, the party may or may not ever go to. But they may interact with someone who was a member who went to that school and tells them about it. And, you know, hey, I went to Witherbloom College and I got this really cool, you know, we learned how to do this. And then you establish that anyone who's ever gone to that gets this feat. And maybe these party members can study under this, you know, NPC mentor and he can give them that feat. Or they can go to the college and maybe, you know, sit through a semester's worth of classes and get the feat for themselves. Blah, blah, blah. You get my point. There's a lot of ways you can use this. So I wouldn't freak out if people want to play it like this and they want to treat it as like going to prom and having a ball and, you know, all this kind of stuff. Just let them do it. What does it hurt you to have that happen? Like I said, there's tons of other D&D content out there. There's more coming next year. There's more books coming later this year. You know, maybe for you, your release stops as October. You get Wild Beyond the Witchlight in September. You get Fizzbands in October. And you just ride out the rest of the year and pretend like this one doesn't ever happen. But if you do, and this one comes out in November and you're excited, well, I'm excited for you. I hope you have a great time. I hope the campaign turns out to be everything you want it to be and more. As for always, with every new book release, I will be doing giveaways of all of them as soon as they come out. So I will be hopefully I've already reached out to my local game store to secure myself multiple copies of the collector's edition cover of each 3 of these books. So as per usual, I will be doing giveaways of collector's edition and standard edition of all of the books later this year. So you have a giveaway going in September, October, and November. Plenty of stuff for you guys to a chance to enter to win, and it's all free to enter. So anyway, I hope this gets my point across with this. D&D is optional. Optional rules are optional, which means they're optional, so you don't have to use them if you don't want to. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.